Namaste, guys. So I'm going to speak on something that's very true to my heart and very hard for me to speak on. And it's been very difficult for me to bring up. And I want you to know that in me sharing this experience, I still love and care about this person from a distance, and I still wish the best for this person, and I don't want anyone else to think ill will of this person. But I need to share this experience because in hopes that if there's anybody else who is dealing with somebody who is narcissistic, that they are able to hear my story and hopefully be able to disconnect, move on from this person, whatever it is that they need to do in order for them to get the courage to leave, move forward, whether that be stay and know that emotionally be able to disconnect this person from their lives. And I give so much courage and compassion to the people who do stay and keep narcissistic people in their lives. That's really hard. And now realizing and understanding that my last relationship, I do truly believe that she was a narcissist, and kind of helped me also to understand and realize that, like, I was raised by a narcissist. So narcissism, they're not just selfish people. I think we all have selfish tendencies and things like that, but narcissists are very much driven that there is nothing wrong with them. Most narcissists can't go to therapy. Most narcissists they manipulate and they gaslight and they turn everything around on you and that you're the problem. It's because of you. They come to you knowing that you have baggage. I hate that term because I believe that we all just have a story. Or that you have, insecurities or things that bother or affect you in a certain way because of your upbringing. And they take that and they use that as fuel whenever there's a disagreement or something that you don't like about this person, because they're not actually feeding any of your wants and needs. And sometimes, and I know that I had spoken in a video before about narcissists, and I felt like a lot of us were just throwing this term around, and I feel almost bad because it was like my karma, like kind of everything clicked. And I do feel like sometimes we do throw that word around. It's taken me a year for me to even finally really sit and think about what I had gone through with my ex and see how she treated me and be able to identify that was narcissism. Because even a narcissist, I still have belief, and I know that they're just really, really hurt people going through something. And that's their armor, and that's how they deal with things. The story is just difficult because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And this is the first time that I've been probably able to be emotionally raw on this platform since, because what it took for me. It took my confidence. It took my spark. It took my peace. It took the trust that I had within myself, and it just created so much more insecurities within me that I had never imagined. And when I was younger, I spent most of my life believing that these people who did not love me and raise me as raised me, that it was because of me, because it was because of innately who I am as a person, and that I'm just not lovable and things like that. And I'm thankful to this past relationship because it was helpful. It's helped me to let go of that, to understand that they were just hurt people who needed somebody else to blame. And I'm understanding that from my past relationship as well. And I'm thankful because it's given me such growth and the ability to finally trust myself. So when somebody's in a narcissistic relationship or connection with somebody who's narcissistic, you genuinely question your belief. You question that whether your experience is real. because narcissism they will manipulate it, and they will say that you said things that you didn't say, or they will say that certain things happened that didn't really happen. And they create this experience where you just feel like you're batshit crazy, and that it's you. So you just start to question everything that you do. You start to question your this feeling. I think especially women, we have this like innate intuition that just tells us things. Can sense what, if you're an empathetic person, you can feel like when the room's off. I used to hate it. I used to be able to walk into a room and immediately be like, okay, what's happening? And be absorbing that energy. And I mean, I've done a lot of healing and work on myself where I don't no longer, that's not something that happens, where I'm able to understand that has nothing to do with me. And that's part of what happened from my ex, just understanding that that's not something that it isn't me. This is something that a narcissist has to do to shield themselves, because I think we all deal with things so differently that pain's overwhelming, and narcissists can't deal with that. And I think, even in my story, where getting sober and having an understanding that I spent the reason why my 20s had been the way that they had been was because of me, because of what I did, the world that I created, the experience that I created for in my 20s, and just drinking and smothering my problems in just like a bottle. So to be able to have that understanding, and then to come out of this relationship and do all this healing in the last year and a half. But going back to when I originally was in this relationship, I remember going to therapist and feeling and asking, like, the therapist would constantly tell me, like, just continue to work on yourself, just continue to work on yourself. And I didn't understand why he would say this to me. And now I understand, it's kind of clicking, because if I had continued to work on myself, I probably would have left a lot sooner. But I had spent so much of the time sacrificing my arms, my limbs, like any part of the relationship that I could, to try to salvage it, because it was me. It was not them. It was me. And, the experience that they're telling me that it is. And so that there was a period of time where I just, felt like I was dying inside. And I had even friends who said to me, like, you don't have that sparkle like you used to have. And I remember just always saying, like, is this normal? And some adults even told me, like, well, that's kind of a relationship. And I wholeheartedly disagree. If that is a relationship, then I don't want any part of it. And I hope that none of you are in a relationship where you feel like your sparkle isn't there. And if you are, here's your sign. You got to get out. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, she had broken up with me pretty much every single month. But I just remember thinking to myself, finally, if I don't get out now, there won't be any Sarah left. I felt so depleted, so pathetic. I was on my knees begging her to be with me, begging her to forgive me for me being me and being emotional. And I have never cried so much in a relationship ever. I've never cried so much ever, I think, period. But, narcissists they can't handle anybody else's emotions because they can't handle their own. So they will make you feel like you are disgusting and just pitiful for having any type of emotion other than being enamored and completely happy by this person. So when I finally, decided to leave, even then it took some experience. Like it was hard. And I think, even having my son hearing her reaction towards me, and it was really a conversation that he had with me that really switched, because we were broken up, and I had moved out, and I was still hoping that they were going to come around and be this person that I wanted and I needed, because we all still have wants and needs in a relationship. And I remember he said to me, no, there's no chance. There's no way that you can get back with her. She's not the one. Not after what she's done, said, and acted. There's just no way. And I mean, he really, like, it was an awkward conversation for me, where sometimes if things are awkward, I'll laugh, and I was just like, I didn't know what to do, because he's never stood up in that sense. But I'm thankful for that conversation. I'm thankful that he was able to do that for me, because then it just clicked. And I mean, it was like 2 days later that I just texted him, and I was like, hey, like, we're just not compatible. And it was just so nice to finally, like, trust in myself that I knew that. I mean, I think we both knew that. I just felt so, I didn't want to be the bad guy, and that's really what it was. And, you know, that's on me. And I know that relationships take work, but it does not take that kind of work. And, you know, you can't have a relationship with somebody where it's 20 and 80, you know, like, there's that changes, that flow goes back and forth. But if you're constantly giving and you're sacrificing things that you shouldn't be sacrificing, it's not working. So if you're in a space where you feel like, you know, you're losing yourself, or your light has dimmed, if you can't get that back by working on yourself, or if this person's energy is just like too negative, get out. Just get out. You don't need to stay. I am a firm believer now, especially, that, you know, I don't need anybody in that sense. Like, I'm very comfortable and trust in my intentions and my actions and how I perceive things and my intuition. I trust myself wholeheartedly. And I believe, you know, that I ignored red flags initially, and that's why I'd stayed for so long. And now it's just so nice to feel confident and accepting of who I am and trusting in the person that I am. But I just want anyone who's even dealing with understanding that they just got out of a narcissistic relationship, and you feel naked and you feel raw and you just feel like you're in a cave by yourself, like there's no one around. Like, I know I felt like nobody fucking understood. And I know, like, listening to podcasts and having other people, like, say these things, it didn't really help either, because I still felt so alone. And it almost gave me anxiety, because they were, like, confirming that this was going on, and bothered me so much, because I had ignored it for almost a year and a half. But I just want you to know that it gets better. Do the work. Focus on yourself. Take some time. Cut people out of your life who can't understand it. Cut anybody who doesn't try to see or hear you, because that's ultimately going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to have to overcome. But look at yourself in the mirror and be able to see yourself every day, that you are okay. Take care of that little person inside. It's not you. It's not you. You're okay. You're a good person. And not to hold hope for anybody, and I hope no one holds hope for this, but if you look up narcissism on Google will tell you that there's no cure for narcissist. And recently I have followed a gentleman on Instagram who believes that he was a narcissist. And that just helps me to hold hope that this is something that people can overcome, that people can change their lives and grow. Because if I was able to overcome the suffering and the damage that was done to me as a child, and what I've done to myself in my 20s and thus far, I want to believe that they can do that for themselves as well. And not that means that those people are for us, but just know that you can always love people from afar and hope that they heal themselves as well. So I hope that helps anybody. Please share this story with people if you know that they're going through something, that they have just left a narcissistic relationship or connection with somebody. Just let them know. Please reach out to me if you want to talk about it. I know it's not easy. So just know that I am here, and I hear you, and I see you, and I have understanding to what you're feeling and going through, but you will overcome this. Please know that. Namaste.